We're here for another update with the CEO of Awalé Resources, Andrew Shubb. Thank you for being here, Andrew.
Great to be here. Thanks, Jasper.
Excellent. So, well, we'll start with, you had a very big intercept and drill hole 83 at Charger on March 25th. You received a lot of inbounds from various investment firms, banks, investors, companies, etc. You didn't seem so stressed about announcing and financing, yet it happened in April. So could you walk us through what has happened since the Charger hole, if we call it that?
I guess lots of things happened since that hole. So we were pretty happy with where we were with BBM. We announced initially announced BBM. I think it was back in sort of January. Initially, the first 4 holes of BBM, and then the follow-up holes on that in early March. But from January, we were really happy with those first 4 holes there, and then to have those sort of handful of follow-up holes, that was really good, and so we started to create some interest from that anyway. But yeah, so then subsequent to that, we got that spectacular hit at Charger, and we went and we screen fire assayed that and all that sort of thing, and so it was a really nice hit and created a lot more interest in the company. Of course, not many companies have the privilege of drilling plus 1,500 gram meter holes. So we were pretty happy about that, and so for me personally, that turned into with that greater interest, there was a significant amount of meetings from interested groups and funds and all those sorts of things, and through that, led towards we did close that financing for the $11.5 million bought deal from Canaccord, which has really set the company up quite nicely for the future. I guess there's 2 things for that, Jasper, really, in that we're now well set up to go about exploration on our 100% Awalé permits, and also as we'll continue to be drilling on the joint venture targets where we're drilling at the moment, and so there's no sort of, we can let the markets do what the markets do without having to think about how the company is financed to go about the other, the 100% Awalé business that I've always been, or the company has always been keen to move on.
Let's start with, did any of these groups, because you talked with a lot of groups, present a better offer or indicate that they had a better offer?
There was no other sort of there was no written offers on the table. So the Canaccord offer was the first written offer on the table that we received.
And who took the lead in the financing negotiations?
Look, I guess Robin Birchall was the lead with talking to the various banks. I was extremely busy with actually talking to potential investors and funds and things like that. I think I had it when I tracked back through. I think I did 87 meetings. In quite a short period of time, in roughly 2 weeks, and Canaccord were the first ones to come through with putting that board deal that we signed off on the table.
And the board didn't think it was worth sort of holding out to see if there would come out a better offer, or if you could add some color to that.
Look, at the time, there was a limited amount of time to make a decision, and so there was discussion, and for me, I guess it was for me the opportunity was to set the company up for what we need to do moving forward. And my thoughts, well, my personal thoughts were at the time that that we had some selling. I don't know where the company was going to be moving forward, and it was just an opportunity to leave the company well funded moving forward. And like I said, now we are well funded, and nothing's changed on the ground. So we're going to continue, I'm sure, to produce interesting geology and results from the joint venture project, and hopefully we also produce good results from our 100% Awalé properties as well, which so we'll just continue to add value to the company.
There was a reported insider selling, including you, just shortly before the financing announcement. If you just could add some color to that.
Sure. I mean, for me personally, I can talk about me personally. I had warrants that were from years prior of me investing in the company. They expired on the 25th, on the same day as that release. I certainly wasn't in a financial position to buy those warrants, so I bought and I converted those warrants. And the way I viewed it for myself is that I was setting myself up as well for the future. And so, I don't think it's good to have a CEO of a company that is, thinking about his own financial situation as well, or her own financial situation as well. So at that juncture, my net position didn't change. I think I had something like 1.6 million shares at the time. That didn't actually change. And subsequent to that, I've also been, in a position. I had other options expire just recently. I fully converted those and paid for them with the setup that I've been able to give myself. So my position on the company and where we are hasn't changed. I've always thought that this is a wonderful project and a fantastic opportunity that I've spent a career looking for. Why the filings were so late when the warrants were converted on, like I said, the drop dead date on those warrants was the 25th. And so I think that there was just a time delay between when the broker actually traded the shares, and then I think because it was just so busy, it was also left to the last minute when the filing was actually made as well. But as far as the Canaccord offer goes, that was issued, and we had to make a decision on the same day, within hours of receiving that offer. So, that's sort of was my position on it with what happened with the warrants that I sold.
But your net position has actually, in fact, increased now with the excised options.
Yeah, that's right. So I've got, I think, if you look on SETI, I'm at a couple of 100,000 shares higher than what I was prior. So yeah, like I said, my position on what this company's got to offer and where we can go really hasn't changed at all.
Super. But so how do you feel now about the board change? Robin Birchall and Dirk Hartman stepping down, Anthony from the CEO of American Eagle Gold coming in together with your co-founder Cole Åkesson, and also Stephen Stewart stepping up as chairman.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, that's something that I discussed with Robin and Dirk, and they did feel like it was a good time to step down. I mean, Dirk was a co-founder of the company, so he was with actually Carl put the projects together, which Awalé came in over in 2016, 2017, and then into the listing at the end of 2017. And so Dirk had been on the board since then, and you know, he felt it was time for him to move on anyway. And you know, he's been pursuing other things for quite some time, so which is taking up a lot of his time. So you know, it was an amicable change, and I'm really happy about the change. I think it's fantastic for the company that Carl has come on board as well. You know, it was for me, it was an opportunity to put somebody on the board that I work with really well, but also Carl is, you know, an astute guy. With a you know, he has a banking background as well with BMO, and you know, he chose to go back to Cote d'Ivoire as a, you know, an entrepreneur, and has faith in Cote d'Ivoire and what it has to offer, and so, you know, it's really good to have an Ivorian national who is of that ilk come onto our board. So that's really great stuff as far as I'm concerned. And then, you know, getting Tony's had some fantastic success over there at American Eagle as well. And so, you know, having someone on the board with that, you know, he brings a lot to the board from I guess the financial market side of things, and things like that as well. You know, with his previous history with IAMGOLD as a you know, corporate development person with them, and what he's done with American Eagle. So, you know, that's wonderful as well. And I think we've got a really great board composition, and you know, we're all really well aligned with you know, with where the company's going and what the company's going to do over the next couple of years to continue to create that value. It's I think we've got a fantastic board looking forward, and of course welcome Stephen to the chairman role as well, because you know, it was, you know, those initial discussions with myself and Eric Roth with Stephen that was, you know, I guess enabled me to change the company and bring that focus into the Odieni district in Cote d'Ivoire, and so, you know, it's really great to have him coming in as chairman as well.
Was there any friction in the transition, given its proximity to the financing?
No, no, and you know, I can absolutely say no. I mean, you know, there were you know, frank discussions, and yeah, there's no, I don't think there's any bad blood between myself and Robin and Dirk, who stepped down, or anyone else, you know, Stephen or anyone else from that perspective. Yeah, no, that's there's nothing else to say around that really, other than everyone is, you know, everyone's still on good terms.
So then let's move on. So you raised 11.5 million Canadian gross, and you got almost 11 million Canadian in net proceeds. That's a large amount. What was the rationale for raising that type of amount?
Yeah, sure. Look, you know, in my experience, and I do have quite a lot of experience, not just with Awalé. I mean, this is the first time I've been a CEO, but I've been involved with junior companies for many years. And in my experience, you know, junior companies, and this is what happened to Awalé as well. If with sort of I guess piecemeal financings or living hand to mouth, it makes exploration decisions extremely difficult. And you know, from team through to, you know, the exploration decisions you make on the ground. You know, you want to put together a team that's got, you know, confidence in the fact that there's budget moving forward, and that through, you know, creating value in the company, there's a future in the company. So that was a really important factor for me, because, you know, to actually spread your wings and start exploring this large amount of ground, we need to have team to do it, and so that's one part of it. And then coming back to the exploration side of things, I too many times I've been involved in situations where, you build up excellent targets, and you don't build up excellent targets with a couple of $100,000. It actually does cost millions of dollars, a couple of million, quite a few $1 million to build up and rate and rank targets, especially over a large amount of ground. And I didn't want to be, in a position where you go back to the market and, effectively with your hat in your hand, and the market knowing that you need money to move forward, to drill things. And generally there's generally a no interest in some fantastic geochemical targets. People want to see, drill intercepts and things like that. And Awalé is a case in point. I mean, we have on the Odieni project, if you look back through the history, the company actually produced some fantastic results. And people, the capital markets were extremely difficult at the time as well. But the company found itself in a position where it had to do a joint venture with somebody. And there was always interest from various strategics, and Newmont came on board, and that's like a double-edged sword. So what that's actually done is, we spent on, direct X, which is like drilling and geophysics and all that sort of stuff, probably $1.3 million before Newmont came on board. And this is on one permit, mind you, with some early drill intercepts, and there was no one really interested. And then Newmont's come on board, and we've spent another $5 million, predominantly on drilling, with some aerial geophysics and other things as well. And you can see where we are now. So, I really view that as like the old Awalé, and now, the new Awalé is making decisions that are good for the company and will, or should enable us to build an even stronger company moving forward.
Let's speak about your shareholders, because you have in the past had shareholders who have left the ship and thus dragged down the share price. What kind of shareholders participated in the financing?
Look, I'm really happy with the book. We got some long institutions in and supporting us, and I think if we do what we say, we've proven what we can do when we're well financed and in making discoveries and driving things forward as a team. So we've got a nice group of institutions that will follow the company and keep helping us build the company from that perspective. So very happy with the composition of the book that came in. So yeah, and a very high proportion of that. Of the funding is institutional funding. So yeah, a small proportion of it was Canaccord retail, but the greater portion was institutional funding, which is fantastic for the company moving forward.
But so then, why do you think that Newmont didn't participate? I assume that you gave them the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely, we gave them the opportunity. I mean, it was probably pretty obvious in the announcement that we put out that there was another party. And look, I think I guess it's a multitude of things. But I get timing is always something, and I think the financing was pretty much immediately post the Newcrest takeover. So effectively they're working on divesting assets and things like that. I think with Newcrest, if you look at what they had a lot of placements and various other things in other companies. So there's definitely something there that I guess Newmont needs to assess on what the lie of the land is and with things like that. And it was also a reporting period. So there was so when you're post a huge takeover and in a reporting period, when people are looking at the company pretty closely, I don't think and the idea of that Newmont is, I'm for sure probably thinking about the various sort of joint ventures and things that they've picked up as well, that the timing was just poor for them. The fact that they've moved into the continuation of moving into a $10 million joint venture financing phase, to me still speaks enough volume of their interest in the joint venture properties and wanting to keep on driving them forward.
So how does the ownership structure now look post financing, and what's Newmont's and Orcap's equity stake?
So Orcap's at roughly about 10%. Newmont's at about 11.5% now, and then and then like I said, there is. With the financing, most of that was institutional. So, I still think the institutional, with all the shares added, is still sitting at 20 to 25%, something like that. So, I think the sort of that structure is still looking quite good moving forward.
Excellent. So then, how are you going to use your proceeds?
Wisely. I think we've developed quite a lot of intellectual property over the last 5 years around how to go about our business. But our timing's not quite perfect as well, because we're heading into wet season. So, thinking about flying aerial surveys and things like that right now is probably not the best idea. So as soon as we get through the wet season, we'll be flying aerial magnetics and radiometrics. We'll get, over the wet season, we'll obtain satellite data, detailed, DTM, all that sort of thing, and start putting together our regolith studies. So we've got a better idea of how to go about our geochemistry. And then into an intense geochemistry phase, stream sediment sampling, and then on the ground geochemistry, whether that be, we've had a lot of success with termite sampling, but that is heavily dependent on how many termite mounds there are kicking around. So in that Odieni district where we have been working, that's really good. As you do move to the east, there are where I've been through, there are zones that are probably not that good for termitaria, and so we might have to think about auger drilling for geochemistry, depending on what the regolith looks like. But the idea is to get through all that as quickly as possible through a field season, and then rate and rank targets for drilling in 2025, 2026. So late 2025 into 2026. But we if there is a standout target, we will, we've got the funding now to go and drill targets, that look really good, based on what we understand. The other thing that we're doing is purchasing a system called Portable PPV, which is fantastic for geochem. So we'll actually be doing PXRF, like so X-ray fluorescence, gold, silver, and multi-element analysis on site. So when you're in doing that broad-spaced geochemistry, once we're set up, we should be able to have rapid results turnaround and be able to do infill and build targets quickly as well. So that's that's a system that we're bringing in, and once that's sort of purchased and all up and running, I'm actually going to put an announcement out on it as well, because it is a fantastic system, and it's a colleague of mine that I've worked with in West Africa in the past that developed that system with the CSIRO in Australia, which is the government, the scientific research people, and it really is a nifty little system. So it'll be good to get that up and running as well.
So on what permits, because you have 5 other permits, on what permits will you be working on?
So we do have to go through a granting process as well, which we're which will happen over the wet season. So the 4 applications where we'll be moving to grant them in a 2 and 2 basis. So hopefully we get the 2 permits granted over the wet season, so that they're ready to fly geophysics. And we, with our local relationships, hopefully we'll be able to, as applications, just do that early stream sediment sampling and things like that, and have that all ready at the same time. And then we'll have, large amounts of information to layer up and start to build targets. And then, in Q3, Q4, be looking at getting the next 2 permits granted as well.
Is Toraca to the east of Odiene granted?
Yeah, so that we have the option agreement with Toraca to the east, which it's a granted permit, and we've already been doing work on. It's under a renewal process at the moment, but that doesn't mean you can't work. So we have actually been collecting geochem samples on that property already, and hopefully we'll have results, in the next couple of weeks, like, mid-June, have some initial geochem results, because it actually followed the structure that hosts BBM follows through into that permit. So that's where we've done some initial geochem, and so the initial PXRF looks interesting, and we've sent samples off to the lab for the gold analysis. So we'll see where that leads us. Hopefully there's some nice geochem results to be putting out in mid to late next month sometime.
And unless you find an outstanding target, when do you expect to actually start test drilling?
Yeah, I think we will need a full field season. So to me it'll be in to get through and rate and rank and then start drilling. We're talking late 2025.
With your current money, you expect to have to be able to have a fairly sizable drilling program.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's enough to drill multiple targets. We're anticipating that we'll have multiple targets. So to do initial sort of, there are 3 phases of drilling in a way before you go into resource drilling. So there's scout drilling, and then, drill target testing. So after scout drilling, if things are looking all right, you're really doing some drilling to test that target and see if it's got economic sort of potential. And then you go into what I call that sort of framework drilling before, and then subsequent to that you would go into resource drilling. But for me, we've got financing to take us into framework drilling on the best targets, and if we're getting those sort of results, the other factor is that we do have the warrants sitting there. So if we are producing the goods, and I think I said the other day, if it's there, we'll find it. I believe that we've got the right team to make discoveries. There's not going to be a financing again, straight away with things like that, because there'll be some money coming in from the warrants that we've got sitting there as well. So the idea is that we just keep creating that value, push through that, get the warrants coming in, and then just keep creating value in the company and not be at the mercy of the capital markets, because I don't know what is going to happen, and it's those macro things that may change, that's beyond our control. So I've just focused in on what we can control, and giving the company runway to build a really strong company moving forward.
And regarding budget, what sort of run rate quarterly G&A do you expect to have going forward?
Look, our G&A will change because of the additional workload. So we will have a VP exploration, and we're considering corporate development people as well. And our budget over the next couple of years with Newmont. I mean, Newmont's $10 million US, so roughly 15 million Canadian. If as long as they keep staying interested, And then we've got ours. So the budget over the next into 3 years is 25 million Canadian dollars, and to deploy that in a sensible fashion, as I mentioned. I need to surround myself with the right people as well. So, the G&A will change from what it has been, but it's only so we can ensure that we do things the right way moving forward.
Follow up on that. How is it going in the search for the new VP of exploration following Andrew Smith's departure, if I may call it that?
Yeah. So, look, that's been going well, and the position has been filled. So, when that person actually starts, we'll certainly be making an announcement on that. And we will be having a chief geologist, I guess, on the ground as well. That works between the joint venture and the regional exploration as well. And then we also need to beef up the Ivorian team. I mean, we really need to we're going to be getting busier and busier on the JV, and then we also need to have. So we will have a joint venture team and a regional exploration team. So there's a lot of I guess there's a lot of parts to bolt together. But over the wet season, but we're well on the way to bolting all that together and having a pretty well-oiled machine moving forward. So that's good.
And so you met together with Carl Oxon. You met with the Minister of Mines and Energy in Cote d'Ivoire, if I could recall correctly. How is the support politically of Awalé, and also has the interest from the government increased since the big charger hole?
Oh, look, for sure. I mean, The BBM discovery plus the Charger intercept has certainly raised our profile locally as well, and I guess I had never sort of pushed meeting the minister or anything like that because we wanted to have that profile before we actually sat in front of him, and so it was actually very nice to go and sit in front of the minister and just tell him that we've had these fantastic intercepts. BBM is moving, fast towards resource kind of things. It's like the joint venture project is fantastic. We've brought, Newmont's come into the country through that joint venture project, but also to be able to say, look, we have as a company have just raised money and we want to go and invest that in the ODNE region. That's also a good thing to be able to do as well. So, we're not just a little junior company with a small amount of money sitting in front of, somebody saying we're going to try. It's like we are. And when you're in that position to be able to say we are, I think it creates further support from that end because they want to see significant investment in particular regions in Côte d'Ivoire. And I guess, ODNE is quite far north of Abidjan. It is a sort of a regional centre for trade, but it doesn't have a huge agriculture income or anything like that. The people in the south have with, cocoa and rubber and these other things. It's got quite a large cashew industry. But other than that, so the idea of a company investing in the ODNE region is attractive to the state as well, I think. So it was good to be able to sit in front of higher echelon people in the Ivorian state and put your hand on your heart and say, we're going to come and invest in the region and let's work together on this. It's I think that's I guess one of the intangibles of the fundraising really is the there's a little bit of political capital that comes with it.
How is your relation with artisanal miners, and have that changed due to your recent success?
No, I don't. No, it hasn't changed. I mean, there's always been one large artisanal centre at a prospect we call Vakala. And that continues. And, you know, we'll probably do some more drilling at that place at some stage in the future, but it's not a high priority target right now. And so we just sort of work in tandem, and we've been managing the smaller orpaillage around the place. So, like, you know, Empire, the gendarme actually removed many years ago, removed the orpaillage that were there, and we filled the pit in, and, you know, we've continued to work with our local stakeholders to keep things that way. And so we have a really good community relations person. I don't talk enough about our Ivorian team. We've got a fantastic group of people, and there is constant communication with local stakeholders from, you know, the village level all the way through to the government level that are in the district, and you know, yeah, we don't have any glaring issues like with artisanal mining or anything like that, and that is because I believe because we have such good engagement with our local partners. We try and work together as much as we can, and we have an open door policy. People can come and talk to us, and you know, if they've got grievances, we listen. You know, any of those things, we don't ignore what's going on around us. We work with and amongst the people that live in the district.
And so then, well, as you announced, Newmont is moving into phase 2. They will spend $10 million to earn into a 65% interest in the ODNA JV. They currently have 51%. How long for do you expect you to be the operator?
Look, you know, they can at the moment. There is no wish to change. I think, you know, I'll be honest. There is in the agreement once it moves to phase 2 that there is that Newmont can elect to take over management. But so again, I don't know what their back room is thinking, but we continue to have a good relationship with their technical team and are aligned in what should be done moving forward. And so, you know, at the moment there's no change. And like I said, I'm thinking about team from our perspective to keep managing the joint venture and bring in that regional exploration team.
Excellent. And so to confirm, the budget for this year is $3 million US, and how many meters can you drill on that?
The budget's $3.5 million US. And you know, we've planned up 20 to 25,000 meters, as I've said, you know, since you know, late Q1. But that, I mean, that 20 to 25,000 meters includes air core drilling, which is cheaper. And all those sorts of things. So, you know, it really depends on what, you know, how we advance the targets that we've got and how we keep exploring on the new targets, right? So on how many, because, you know, air core's cheap. RC drilling's, you know, 4 times the price of air core. And then, you know, diamond drilling's sort of roughly double the price of the RC. So it all depends on how many meters go into each kind of drilling to what you end up with at the end. And you know, what we see from the current drilling that we're doing at BBM and Charger, you know, may adjust how those drill meters are deployed. All I can say is that that budget is totally allocated to drilling at the moment. Like, there is no other, you know, drilling and people to actually run the thing, but it's all going into drilling in and out.
Good to confirm that. So yeah, you started drilling at Charger before moving the rig to BBM. How many holes did you complete at Charger, and where have they been located?
We drilled 5 holes at Charger, and then we moved the rig to BBM, and I think we drilled 8 or 9 holes to date at BBM, a couple more to do there, and then we'll come back to Charger and drill some more. So when we're finished at BBM, we'll have drilled roughly 4,000 meters all told, and depending, and then we'll come back to Charger to drill another sort of couple of thousand meters to round out that 6,000 to 7,000 meters that we've got planned for this phase, and we should be finished all that by the end of June.
And what did you target with your 5 holes at Charger?
So we've drilled some holes around the 83 intercept. So a step east and a step west at the same RL, and a step back, as well as a more strategic drill hole. We'd never really drilled a hole straight into perpendicular to the northeast structures near the 3 breccias that we'd intercepted. So we drilled that one as well. So that's as well as a scissor hole. And the scissor hole is offset roughly 30 meters to the west, of 83. So they're the 5 holes. So 2 step out, step back, strategic hole plus a scissor hole. And so at that point we went, okay, we've collected quite a lot of data around where we are at Charger, and let's go and drill. Rather than start a second rig, we've got all the information we can out of those holes. I'm quite comfortable saying I'm happy with what we saw in the drilling. And now we'll come back and drill some more holes at Charger once we've drilled the last couple of holes at BBM.
And by the way, when you planned your drilling campaign at Charger, did you feel any pressure giving the super hole?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there is pressure. In my mind, I'm not setting myself up to say, we'll definitely drill another 1,500 gram meter hole. In my mind, I'm like, the key thing is keep tracking down the breccia, join the breccias together. If you manage to do that, you'll get some good results as well. So that's what we've done, and what we'll continue to do. So I think I think we'll get good results in the end from Charger as well. No matter but I'm not setting us up to say we're going to get another 1,500 meter gram, 30 meters at 46.5 grams or whatever it was. I'm not saying we're going to do that, but I think we'll get some intervals of similar width, and there'll be gold and there'll be a little bit of copper like there always is, and we'll see the same sort of things. And the whole idea is that we keep stepping out and making it bigger, and a 10 gram ore body, you don't need to move far to get a lot of ounces if it's a 10 gram ore body.
No, you really don't. And but so then at the BBM, how satisfied are you with the holes?
Yeah, look, good. So happy with what we've been drilling. We've been doing what I sort of said to people that we would do, which is drilling down plunge and stepping out, and some of the drilling that was a long strike from that core zone, the interpretation that we're maybe over plunge. That's the drill testing we've been doing, and happy with the core that's been coming out of the ground. Yeah.
Great. And then, so could you walk us through the upcoming news flow for the coming months in terms of assays and other news?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we're sending off the geochem for our permit to the east. So hopefully we'll have some, because we've done the PXRF. We'll have some PXRF results plus gold on those. And then we've got some geophysics, which we're putting together now. So that's coming through is the IP that we've done at BBM Charger and Scepter as well. We've done some deep IP at Scepter, orientation at BBM, and some deep lines at Charger. And then, results from the drilling, as always, we don't report on a hole-by-hole basis or anything like that. So we've batched up and sent the first 5 holes at Charger. I think so. That was done a couple of weeks. So we're looking at July for results from there, and then we've sent an initial batch from BBM, and then there'll be a final one once we finish drilling these holes. So we would expect those in sort of late July into August, and then in August sometime would be the final holes that we drill at Charger. So that throughout the northern hemisphere summer, there will be results coming through for the drilling. Probably not the best timing when everyone's on holidays in Canada and things like that, but for African projects, that's pretty much the way it is, because everyone drills like crazy to get as much as they can done before it really starts raining, and so when everyone's on holiday in North America, it's raining a lot, and you don't really get to do a lot of drilling. But that's okay. That's the way that is. And then of course, like later in the year, we'll start drilling again on the joint venture, and we'll be starting to fly geophysics and all those sorts of things on our 100% Awalé.
By the way, what happened at the holes at Lando? Will you be releasing them, or?
Oh yeah, look, we will release them. I think I've said a few times that the results are really not material, and they're the same as the previous results, and we've got more work to do at Lando. I still think it's a fantastic. The footprint is huge, right? So we just haven't been in the right spot. So I think we've got a plan for how to chase that up at Lando and figure out what the source of that fantastic anomalism is that we're getting there. So that's all part of the post wet season drill plan. Is to get in and do that as well.
Well, then we just have one question left, and that is, so what do you have, as CEO of Awalé Resources, what do you hope to have accomplished by the end of the year?
By the end of this year, well, we've accomplished so much in the last 12 months. It's quite phenomenal. Look, by the end of this year, I think I think we should be ready to hopefully the budget from Newmont will encompass doing a lot more drilling at BBM. We would have extended Charger quite nicely, and it would be nice to drill some 2 deeper holes at Scepter East, and then sort of that system drilling or long drill lines that I've talked about at Lando. It'd be nice to do that as well. And then, I mean, there's I guess so the main goal is, get through all those exploration things, show that BBM's got fantastic potential, show Charger's got that fantastic potential, maybe bring Lando and Scepter into the picture from that sort of potential. On the regional, have at least two more permits granted, and then moving in to get the other 2 granted, and have flown geophysics over those and started our groundwork. From an operations perspective, there's a lot going on, and then from a company perspective, I think we should keep producing results, and so. I don't know what the share price and market cap is going to be, but if the macro side of things keeps being nice and we keep producing results, I'm sure that our capitalization could change quite significantly between now and the next 6 months. But we've come from where we were when I took over to now. We've come a really long way, and I just want to keep seeing us move in the same direction.